What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're sitting in a 2012 Toyota 4Runner, and the customer complaint is there is a shudder around 35-40 miles an hour, and it only does it though if you keep the RPMs below 2,000 RPMs as you're driving it. Like when you let off the gas, there is no shudder, and whenever you are in the gas too hard, it doesn't shudder. It only does it whenever you're below 2,000 RPMs. So I picked it up for the customer, and this is a two-wheel drive. So what we're going to do is we drove it up the road just to verify, and I'm going to see if y'all can pick this up on the camera while I'm driving it. Try to do it where I can hold y'all just a little bit so you don't go sliding everywhere, but we're gonna see how well this works, because I'm gonna have to hold you a little bit. I'm just waiting for cars to come, because I do have to go a little slower. And granted, this road is a little bumpy. Felt that or could see the camera shake or anything. I don't know why I'm saying feeling it, because you definitely can't feel it because you're not in the car, but I was just wondering if y'all could see it whenever it was shaking. Like sometimes it does it like, I mean, it's almost like you're running over like a set of 6 or 8 rumble strips, and other times it's you feel it shake 1 or 2 times. And notice it does it sometimes too up around 55. This is real light though. I feel like once it goes into lockup or something that it's doing it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to change the filter and the fluid, see how that looks, because she did say she took it somewhere and they thought that it was the rear differential, so they changed the fluid in the differential, greased her drive shaft and all the joints and stuff. Or somebody changed the fluid and greased it up. I don't know if it was that shop, I can't remember, but they did. She did have the fluid changed and the drive shaft and all the joints greased up, and the fluid, I was told, looked good, so that's a good thing. So there was no metal in it and looked pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're going to change out the filter and the fluid. We're going to try to do a complete flush on this as well, as much as we can. I might try to take one of the hoses off, get a clean bucket, put some fluid down in there and let it dump out the old stuff and suck up the new stuff as it's rotating, you know, or as it's running. But I'm either going to do that, or I'm going to just drain it, change the filter, fill it up, run it a little bit, then drain it again and fill it back up one more time, just to get as much of the old as I can out. So stick with me, I'll show you the part numbers, show you how to do this, and we'll get back and we'll see if this helps the problem or not. So here we are, we're outside. We're going to go ahead and start pulling this pan and draining the fluid. And first thing I wanted to show everybody was all the different plugs. So I'm on the passenger side. Right there, that is your check plug. That is going to be a Allen headed nut. Then you have your plug right there is going to be your drain. And then on this one, you can have 1 or 2 spots. I think on the 4-wheel drive, it is actually maybe on the driver's side up near the bell housing somewhere for the feel. This is a 2-wheel drive, and it is right here on the tail shaft. That big nut right there, that is a 24. Let me see what size the Allen is real quick. because it is a 5mm, and then the drain plug is a 14. So I'm gonna try to set y'all up where y'all can watch this, and I believe all of the bolts for the pan are either 10s or 12s, and we'll figure that out in just a second, but I'm gonna set y'all up real quick. And the first thing I wanted to tell everybody was make sure you can break all these loose before you even start this, because if you can't break one of them loose, you might be in trouble. Like, say you can drain it but you can't fill it back up, you can't put it back in, so you have to find out a way to put fluid back in it. And then if you drain it and fill it but you can't get out your check plug right here, you won't know how much you have in there, so you could overfill it or underfill it, and either one of them are just as bad as the other. But I've already broken all mine loose, and they come loose fairly easy. Right. Which, as you can tell, the fluid is pretty dark. So we're going to let this drain, and then once it drains, I'm going to start pulling the pan off. So I'm just going to let this drain for a little bit, and then I'll bring y'all back once I start taking the pan off. Okay, so we got it drained, and I already took all the bolts out except for 2, because I figured y'all didn't want to see me removing probably 20 bolts on this, just one at a time. So I went ahead and took the rest of them out, and you can get in between the cross member and the oil pan, and you can get these back ones off. At least they did that. They thought about that. That was really good that they did that, so we don't have to remove the cross member. Makes things a lot quicker. But we're going to put our pan back underneath here just because it's going to be dripping. And the bolts are 10mm. Try not to hit y'all. And if it sticks, just loosen 2, like take them all out except for 2, then loosen them up a little bit, get a rubber mallet and tap on the oil pan, and it will come loose. And that's why we have a pan. Set that down, because whenever you drain it, it doesn't get everything out of it. Oh yeah. Just try to get as much out as I can before I pull it out. Alright. Try not to hit myself in the face with it either. Alright. And here is the filter right here. This is a metal filter, and it does have a metal screen in it, and it does need to be changed. You don't need to not change this, even though it is a metal filter. I'll try to get it where I'm catching as much of the fluid dripping as possible. And I believe these are 10mm holding this on as well. There's 1, I think there's 4 total of those. And there's a little O-ring in there that's holding this in. I'm going to pull this up a little bit because it's going to come out of the pump too whenever we remove this. Here's that little O-ring. I don't know how well y'all can see that because I'm kind of backwards. But I'm going to put this filter in the oil pan real quick, and then I'm going to clean up my hands, and I'll show you the inside of the oil pan. Like I said, here's the O-ring. That is the old one. Here is the filter. There's a little bit of stuff in there, but nothing major. It's just the fluid is pretty dark. You can see all the staining on that. Set that in there. And now we're going to dump the rest of the fluid out and make sure there's no chunks in the pan. And looking at the magnets, they don't look bad at all. Should have 4 magnets in here. Each one of them's got its own little rectangular space they sit in. Here's your fill tube right here. As you can see, when the fluid gets up to a certain level, it'll start overflowing into that, and your vehicle needs to be on a level surface when you do this too. And there is a bolt in there, and that keeps it from coming out if you overfill it. But you do need to let it drain until there's nothing else in there. Well, until there's nothing coming out, I should say. But whenever you fill it up, you're going to fill it up and leave that open on a level ground till it starts coming out. Then you want to crank up the truck and let it run, and you're going to let it come up to about 100 to 130 degrees, and then you want to shift through all your gears, you know, manually. Then after that, you want to climb underneath there while it's running and check the fluid again, and you're going to add it as needed. But we'll get to that part here in a few. But I'm going to clean this up. Then after I clean it up, I'll show y'all the parts that I got, because I did get Toyota original parts for the O-ring, the filter, the gasket, and the fluid. So let me clean this up and I'll bring y'all right back. Alright, as you can see, we got the pan cleaned up. Came pretty clean, even the magnets. And here's the fluid we're using, Toyota ATF WS fluid. And we got 13 quarts. It calls for 12 total in the transmission, but I got 13 just to be safe. And then we're going, like I said, we're going to fill it up, run it, and get it up, get it the right level, run it for a little bit, and then we're going to come back, drain it, and we're going to fill it up one more time, try to get as much of the contaminants out of it that we can. And here is our filter right here. This is a Toyota original. There's your part number 35330-60050. Here is the O-ring for it, Toyota. It is 90301-31014. So we have that. I'm going to go ahead and put the filter and the O-ring back on there. We did not have a a pan gasket for it. There's the old one. As you can tell, it's pretty tore up right there on the edges. I'll show it to y'all. Sorry, I thought you could see a little bit better from that far away, but you can see where it's been tore, and then the edges are all cracked up. And I just don't want to put that back on there. I know these can be reusable from time to time just because they are the neoprene gaskets, but if I can, I like to put a new one in. It was only $13 from O'Reilly's. They're not a sponsor, but that's where I got the new one from. And it will not be here for probably about another maybe hour and a half. So probably gonna go in, get me some lunch, and then once it gets here, I'll show y'all how we put everything back together. But actually, before I go in, I will put the filter on here just so it's on there, and all we have to do is just throw the pan on. But I'll show y'all how this goes. So here's that. We'll put that on there. Also, compare it to the old one, because sometimes they will give you one that is way too thick. It's a lot thicker actually than it should be. And if they give you the wrong one, just good thing is just bring it with you when you go to get the new one, just to make sure that is the right one. But like I said, there's that. We're gonna put a little bit of transmission fluid around here, just to lube it up, just so it'll slide in. And then I'm gonna go underneath the car. Good God, I can't talk. But go underneath the car, just bolt this back up. Like I said, it's just 4 10mm bolts. All right, so we got our gasket in now. It is approximately around 2 o'clock, and this right here is the part number TOS 18736, and this is a Felpro part, and it feels like a paper gasket for the most part, but that's about all we could get in stock today. But let's make sure that it fits onto the pan. Now I'm going to stick it up there, put a couple bolts in here just to hold it until I can get them all started, and then I'll bring y'all back whenever I get them all on there and I finish torquing them down, and I'll show you how we put the fluid in here. Okay, I'm on the last bolt to torque down, and I got them all torqued down to 10 except for this last one right here. Just going over them. Alright, there it is. Can't remember that top one on that one, but went around, torqued them all to 10 foot-pounds. Don't hit yourself in the face like I did, but now we have, well, had that broke loose, but now it's not. Ugh. But now I'm going to take out the fuel plug. I did break it loose before. Come on. Oh yeah, it was just a little over finger tight. So we have the fuel plug, the check plug out right here. The fuel plug is on the tail housing. I'm going to take it out now. Here is your fuel plug. And like I said, it is on the tail housing on the 2-wheel drive models. I think on the 4-wheel drive is up above the shifter range sensor right there. And it may be on the driver's side. I can't remember what side the 4-wheel drives are on. But 2-wheel drive is back here on the tail shaft section. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to fill it up. Right here, I'm going to use this little transfer pump I got. It was about $10, I think, from O'Reilly. I did fill up this container right here with the fluid, with the transmission fluid, just so I wouldn't have to do a quart at a time. I can do a gallon at a time. And I'm going to use this right here to transfer from the gallon container into the transmission. And we're just going to do that until it starts to come out of the check port. And I'm going to show you that whenever it gets to where it's running out. But I don't think y'all really want to see me pumping this right here up for the next probably 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to pump it in there until it starts running out, and I'll show y'all what it looks like when it starts running out. Okay, you can see it draining out of there now. And I'm going to let it drain for a minute until it stops coming out pretty much like a bigger stream. And then I'm going to go in there and crank it up. And we're going to let it run until it gets to about 100 to 130 degrees. And the way you're going to check this is with a scanner, or you can use a temp gun if you want to on the pan, but it doesn't get you a complete and accurate temperature like 100%. And I'm just going to put that on finger tight, because when you crank it up, it will go down. Alright, so I'm in the car now, and we're taking it on a test drive. And trying to see if it'll do it now. We're about 35. I didn't feel it do it that time, so I'm going to turn around one more time, see if it does it again. And I still don't have it up to operating temperature yet. Probably need to go up about another, probably about another 20-25 degrees before we get to that. But we're going to see if it continues to ride as good as it does, because I haven't felt it, and I need to check the fluid level anyway. And I did keep pumping fluid into it while it was running until it started coming out of the check plug. So like I said, I'm going to turn around up here, because we're running about 55 now. And I did notice it did it like 1 or 2 times as I was driving it on the way here at around 55. I think it was whenever it was going into lockup, but I didn't feel it do it any of these times when I was driving it yet. So we're just gonna have to see what we find on once we check the fluid again. So, but I am going to turn around right here real quick. Yep, still there. It did it real bad right there. It shuttered the whole car. So let's see what our next step is on this, because this was referred to me to do the filter and fluid flush to see if it would get rid of it, because that's what they read online, that sometimes it does. Personally, I'm thinking it may need a torque converter with the shudder that it does have. So we'll have to see. Like I said, the fluid was extremely dark, so that does suck that this didn't fix it. But like I said, we'll talk to the person who referred me here, because this was sold at a used car lot and they referred me to do the filter change for them. But anyway, this was a how-to video, I guess you could say, on how to change the fluid and the filter on one of these. And if we decide that we're going to do a torque converter, like I said, it's up to the customer, it's up to the used car lot and all that stuff. But if they want me to, I'll do that and we'll go from there. And if I do that video, y'all see it up on the channel. So if y'all enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and until next time, y'all have a great day.